Nia stood in front of the bathroom mirror, her hands gently patting her freshly washed curls into place. Her hair was soft, fluffy, and full of life, springing up around her head like a halo. She smiled at the sight. This was her natural hair, unaltered, unapologetic, and beautiful. She had worn her afro in private for so long, only letting it out when she was at home, but tonight she felt different, empowered. She had spent years hiding her natural hair under wigs and weaves, always feeling like she had to conform to an ideal that wasn't hers. Tonight, she wanted to embrace herself fully, afro and all. She wanted to step out into the world just as she was. But as soon as she heard her husband Jason calling from the bedroom, a familiar knot of anxiety twisted in her stomach. "Nia, are you almost ready?" Jason's voice echoed down the hall. She glanced at herself one last time in the mirror, her hands hesitating over the curls. She loved her afro, but she knew what was coming. Her heart raced as she left the bathroom and walked into the bedroom where Jason was adjusting his tie. When he saw her, his smile froze and his eyes narrowed. "What's that?" Nia's stomach clenched. She knew exactly what he meant, but she feigned ignorance, hoping this time would be different. "What do you mean?" "Your hair," Jason said, his voice tight. "You're not going out like that, are you?" Nia's heart sank, but she tried to stay calm. "Yes, I was thinking about it. I've been wearing it natural at home, and I thought maybe tonight." Jason cut her off with a sharp laugh. "No way, you can't wear that outside. I told you, I don't like it when you have your hair like that. It looks wild." Nia's chest tightened, and she looked down at her hands, unsure of what to say. Jason had always been vocal about his preferences for her appearance. He liked her in straight hair, particularly the long, silky weaves she wore when they first met. Back then, she hadn't thought much of it. She enjoyed trying different hairstyles and figured there was no harm in keeping him happy. But now, after years of altering herself to fit his image of what was acceptable, the weight of it all had started to suffocate her. "Jason, this is my natural hair," Nia said softly. "This is how it grows out of my head. I just want to wear it like this for once. It's important to me." Jason's expression hardened, and he turned to face her fully. "Nia, we're going to a nice restaurant tonight. We're going to be around my colleagues. You can't show up looking like that." "Like what?" Nia shot back, her voice rising. "Like myself?" "Don't make this a big deal," Jason sighed, his voice dripping with frustration. "You know how people look at afros. It's not professional. It's not elegant. You look much better with straight hair, more polished." Nia's hands balled into fists at her sides. She had heard this argument from him before, but tonight it hurt more than ever. She wasn't just trying to please Jason anymore. She was trying to reclaim something she had lost, her sense of pride in her own identity, her own culture. But here was her husband, the man she loved, telling her that the way she looked naturally wasn't good enough. "Why does my hair have to be straight to be beautiful?" Nia demanded, her voice trembling. "Why can't you accept me for who I am, for how I look without all the wigs and weaves? This is me, Jason." Jason ran a hand through his neatly styled hair, looking exasperated. "It's not about me not accepting you. It's about how other people see you. We live in a world where appearances matter, Nia. You know that, and I'm just trying to help you fit in." Nia shook her head, tears pricking at her eyes. "Fit in with who, Jason? Your colleagues? Strangers? Why does their opinion matter more than mine? More than how I feel about myself?" Jason opened his mouth to argue, but Nia cut him off, her voice breaking. "You married a black woman. This is what comes with that. My hair, my skin, my culture, it's all a part of me. I'm tired of pretending to be something I'm not just to make other people comfortable." Jason's face softened slightly, but he still looked uncomfortable. "Nia, I love you. I'm just trying to protect you. You know how people are. They judge. They'll see your afro and think, I don't know, they'll think less of you." "They'll think less of me because I'm black," Nia said, her voice cold. "And you're trying to hide that." "No, that's not it," Jason said quickly, but Nia could see the flicker of guilt in his eyes. "It's just, I know how these people think, okay? They're used to a certain look, a certain standard, and that standard isn't me," Nia finished bitterly. "It's never going to be me." For a long moment, the room was silent. Nia could feel the tension building in her chest, the unspoken truths hanging between them. Jason had never explicitly said it, but she had always known. He was uncomfortable with her blackness, or at least with how the world reacted to it. He loved her, yes, but only in the way he thought she should be, not for who she truly was. Tears spilled down Nia's cheeks as the weight of it all crashed over her. She had spent years conforming, hiding, shrinking herself to fit into his world. But tonight, she couldn't do it anymore. She couldn't keep pretending that she was okay with erasing parts of herself just to make him and everyone else comfortable. "I'm wearing my afro tonight," Nia said quietly but firmly, her voice steady despite the tears. "If you don't want to be seen with me, then go without me." Jason looked taken aback, as though the reality of the situation had finally hit him. He had always thought of their differences as surface level, things that could be smoothed over with time. But now he was realizing that this wasn't about hair or appearances or a night out. This was about who Nia was, at her core, and whether he truly loved her for all of her, or just the parts that fit neatly into his world. He swallowed hard, unsure of what to say. Nia wiped her eyes, but she didn't back down. She stood tall, her afro framing her face like a crown, and for the first time in a long time, she felt truly seen. By herself, if not by him. "I'm not asking you to change, Jason," Nia said quietly. "I'm just asking you to love me as I am, fully." Jason opened his mouth to respond, but the words wouldn't come. He knew she was right. He had been asking her to change for years without even realizing the damage it had done. Now, faced with the prospect of losing her, he saw the full weight of his actions and it terrified him. "Nia, I don't want to lose you," he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. Nia looked at him, her eyes searching his face for the truth. "Then don't." There was a long, tense silence as Jason wrestled with the moment. Finally he nodded, the fight draining out of him. "Okay," he said softly. "Okay." Nia let out a breath she didn't know she had been holding. For the first time in years, she felt a sense of relief, a weight lifted. She had fought for herself, and for once, she had won. As they left the house that evening, Nia walked beside Jason with her afro proudly on display, no longer hiding, no longer shrinking. For the first time in a long time, she felt free. And maybe, just maybe, Jason would learn to see her as she truly was, not someone to be polished and perfected, but someone to be loved, exactly as she was. And if he couldn't? Well, Nia had finally realized she was enough, with or without him. If you enjoyed this story, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I put a lot of love and care into telling these important stories, and your support means the world to me. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time. Have a blessed day.